Talk with Ms. Lucer.
She is unrepresented, Your Honor.
Okay, you're not representing her.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we called a case of 22-239. Margaret Bruno, is it Lucer?
This is who you're calling right here, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, I'm representing the, authorized representative for the legal fiction. And I cannot cross the bar if you I can't cross the bar.
Welcome back, folks. Today we're diving into one of the wildest courtroom encounters you'll ever see. Picture this, a 73-year-old grandmother standing before a judge, not as a defendant. Oh no, she claims she's an American state national. Translation, sovereign citizen with extra seasoning. Now don't let the soft voice and grandma vibes fool you. This case has everything. Bizarre legal theories, accusations of hate crimes, and even claim that losing her car keys was akin to assault and battery. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll see exactly how logic, law, and reality collide in spectacular fashion. And spoiler, there are some jaw-dropping contradictions that you won't want to miss. Let's break it down.
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Right.
It's not as sophisticated as my hearing aids, but I can hear you this time.
All right.
All right, I just want to be clear that when I was here for the arraignment, first off, I never had a first appearance. Within 24 hours, I was incarcerated for 13 days without a first appearance. Bond was set.
And that's true because you wouldn't sign the documents at the jail. Until you sign documents at the jail, you don't
Where is that written that you have to sign anything? Because I couldn't find it. It just simply says within 24 hours I would go before a judge. I had
You
felony
weren't properly
charges.
booked, so that's the way that was, but I'm not going to argue with your point, but go
Okay,
ahead.
well, I just want to get it on the record that I am here on a special appearance, and I'm just the authorized representative for this birth certificate. It has been federally authenticated, if you want to take a look at it. It has been certified by the state and federally authenticated. I am the owner of this SQQV. Do you understand what that means?
Notice the irony here. She starts by insisting she couldn't hear during her first hearing, blaming the court for failing her disability. But fast forward to now, and she's purposely standing as far away from the judge as possible. That's like complaining you're cold while opening every window in your house. This is a classic sovereign citizen move. Shift the blame, play the victim, and hope the theatrics distract from the actual charges. What do you think? Is this genuine confusion or a strategy to delay the inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
It means that I'm not in your jurisdiction. I stand on the land and soil. I'm under the public law,
Okay.
and I have a right to pass through service.
All right, so I take it you're representing yourself today?
No, I am presenting myself.
Okay. So you're not going to enter a plea today or work out negotiations or anything?
I'm not making any plea whatsoever. I have not consented to contract with this court in any way.
Okay.
I'm an American state national. I'm not a sovereign citizen. That was a hate crime under which I was arrested, and the arresting officer has since quit his job with the Jasper Police Department.
All right, well, State, we can...
I have a file here that I have one prepared for both the prosecutor and for you, Judge, if you'd like to take a look and go along with me on what I'd like to bring before the court. My goal is that this case get dismissed with prejudice before I walk out today. If this file is not completed, let me explain. All the highlighted areas, I met with the clerk of court, Greg Godwin, and the areas that were in yellow here, I expected that he would be able to provide the information for me to complete these documents. I am not able to mail them until I can get them completed. He suggested that I talk with, is it John Durham, or who is it, Durant? Am I getting that correct, Tabitha?
That's Mr. Durrett, the state attorney.
Durrett, okay. He suggests that I should talk with him as far as getting this information completed. He said he wasn't able to complete the information, otherwise I can hire somebody to get this information for me. So if this case is not going to be submitted, with the first letter in here is a fair notice and warning letter, and it speaks to what the issues are here. First off, it was a false arrest because I do have a right to travel. No, and then also there is no contract. The application for a driver's license does not tell anybody that you are trading a God-given right, a right to face an accuser. And there's nobody here that was harmed. Deprivation of due process, Your Honor, you denied me a first appearance. And I have not heard the charges because I am hard of hearing. I brought that to the attention of the court at the arraignment. And your comment was simply, I'm talking as loud as I can. Well, that doesn't do any good for somebody who has a disability. And you have a responsibility to me under the Americans. So I have issues with that. So up until, I still haven't really heard the charges. You know, when it started out, I was slammed with 7 felony charges. Had a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights because they did a search and seizure of my vehicle. They tossed my car completely. He claimed he found the phone in my car. He didn't. He took it out of my hand after shoving my arm. That was assault and battery. And then when I got into the police vehicle, my keys were in my pocket. He took them out of my pocket. All right, that again is assault and battery and also could be considered.
Here's where the drama takes a sharp turn. She claims her arrest was actually a hate crime. Yes, you heard that right. In her version, being called a sovereign citizen is somehow on par with discrimination and harassment. The judge, of course, isn't buying it, but this reveals something deeper. Sovereign citizens often wrap themselves in layers of victimhood, hoping that outrage will outweigh evidence. But ask yourself, does redefining hate crime really help her case, or just highlight how far she's drifting from legal reality?
Travis Munden did not act for 8 days. He allowed me to sit in jail for 8 days with felony charges hanging over my head, of which you put a $38,000 bond on me without my participation. Again, that was a violation or deprivation of due process. The felony charges were bogus. I'm an international notarial witness for the United States of America, unincorporated. I had those, were the driver's license on my phone and birth certificates because I do remote notarization for people. I had a right to have that. I had it by permission of the people that sent it to me. The prosecutor, Dana Brady Giddens, she failed to act for 6 days. After, on July 1st, Travis transferred it from the felony side over to misdemeanors. She sat on it for 6 days. I sat in jail for 13 days, not even knowing what was going on. And it wasn't until after I got out of jail and I called her, and while I was on the phone, she goes, oh, here it is. She asked me what my name was, and she goes, oh, here it is, and she opened it while I was on the phone. So Travis sat on it for 7 days. Whatever happened to due process? Don't they have a responsibility to act timely? Because I know I do. I was kidnapped and taken to a prisoner of war camp. I had no choice in this, and I'm an American. I'm an American state citizen. I stand above this court. I stand above this for-profit corporation. First time that I saw you, sir, was 44 days after my arrest. And again, my Americans with Disability Act rights were violated in that you made no accommodation at all for my not being able to hear you. So as far as I know, I never did put in a plea. I have not pled in any way whatsoever. I have not consented. I have signed absolutely nothing. I signed no citations. I have had communication with Tabitha and Dana. We have been writing back and forth on our 72 rule of response, and I can't get answers out of them. They keep telling, I ask for documentation, and all I get is no documents responsive, no documents responsive, over and over again. I ask her for her oath of office on Florida letterhead, nothing. I get a scrap of paper. I ask her for a signed contract on my side, I get a citation that's not signed. The citation wasn't even signed by the arresting officer, it's by somebody else, and it has comments in it that says I said something, and I would appreciate being ignored by the court. So anyway, I didn't sign anything. I have not contracted with this court. I haven't contracted at all. And why? Because I don't need to. I'm not under these statutes, rules, regulations, codes, ordinances, mandates, and all the rest. I tried to explain that to the public defender here that you assigned to talk to me. And then basically everything out of his mouth came out right out of this hate crime document called Law Enforcement Guide to Sovereign Citizens. I'm not a Moor. I'm not a Waukesha Nation. I'm an American state citizen.
Okay.
To call somebody a sovereign citizen is slander. To put it in writing is libel. Sovereign is a king, somebody who is governing, self-governing. Citizen is somebody who works for another. It's an oxymoron. I'm a private living woman. My responsibility is to balance the accounts of the public, the public all caps name, and to keep the public charitable trust in balance. Roosevelt put us on an all debit system, and these credits have been stolen from the people. And all I'm trying to do is my responsibility here. So I'm planning to subrogate this. If you look at the second document, or maybe you already have, and you've seen the list of people I will send it to. Governor DeSantis has been involved in my case. I have a letter here that was sent to him. If you would like to see that, let's see, maybe it's in one of the other files. Anyway, he has been involved in this as well, because he is also part of the problem here, in that he is not assisting the Americans within this state to be safe from the harm that is being caused by this system, by the law enforcement officers and deputies.
This is one of the most jaw-dropping moments in the entire exchange. She claims that when an officer removed keys from her pocket during an arrest, that act wasn't just assault and battery. It could be considered rape. That leap in logic is staggering. By stretching legal definitions beyond recognition, she's undermining her own credibility. Judges and juries rely on precision. Exaggeration like this only erodes her standing further. But here's the question for you. Do you think she believes this interpretation, or is it pure performance?
My fee schedule as to what I'll be charging when this is all over and I have to come back and have my rights restored and my property restored. My car was towed from in front of the police station. That's where I was when all this happened. I was in talking to Chief Rickerson. I went in and I noticed both the chief and the sheriff, the clerk of court, and the property appraiser when I got here back in March, that I was an American state citizen and I'm not a U.S. citizen. They were both noticed. They've both been noticed twice. And along with that was the fee schedule.
Watch how the judge handles this. He doesn't shout, doesn't roll his eyes, at least not visibly. He lets her run through her script while maintaining control of the courtroom. This is a seasoned strategy. Don't give the sovereign citizen an opening to claim bias or mistreatment. Instead, let them talk themselves into absurdity. It's a subtle game of patience, and honestly, the judge is playing it like a pro. Imagine being in his shoes. Could you keep calm through this endless monologue?
For the fourth time, we have sat down and had 4 conversations on how we educate the officers to know the difference so people are not harmed on the side of the road. I wasn't even on the side of the road. I was parked in front of the police station when all this went down. I wasn't even in my car. This officer got in my face back in April, and he stood there. I was meeting with the police chief, Chief Rickerson. At that time, he was an interim police chief. And this officer barged into our discussion and got in my face and started spitting on me with his saliva. He was like this close to me, yelling at me, telling me, I'm a police officer for 25 years, and I've dealt with plenty of people like you. And he went on and on and on, okay?
Here's where it gets fascinating. She doubles down on her claim. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm an American state national. To her, that distinction is everything. But to the law, it's meaningless. This identity crisis is at the heart of the sovereign citizen movement. They desperately want to separate themselves from a label that's become synonymous with legal failure, while still clinging to the same pseudo-legal arguments. It's like insisting you're not a flat earther. You just believe in alternative geometry. Different words, same flawed foundation.
British Crown, which is the administrative arm, to the Pope, which is the financial arm, and to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, which is the military arm of the one world government. Well, I don't go with that because I serve a king. I serve the Almighty King. That is who I am. I am a child of the King. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a child of the King, and I have rights that were given to me, sovereign rights given to me by my Creator. And I live by the Bible. I don't live by any kind of religion, sir. I read the Bible cover to cover, and it says that there are 2 commandments in the New Testament that Jesus, or Yeshua, I prefer to call him by his Hebrew name, the 2 commandments, to love God above all things and to love your neighbor as yourself. I live by that. But that's a summary of the 10 commandments that are in the Old Testament, Exodus 20. And the first 5 commandments are how you love your Creator. And the second 5 commandments is how you love your neighbor. And I live by that, sir. And this officer had to break several of those commandments to put me into this system. He had to lie, and he had to steal my property. And if this is the system that this government or this for-profit corporation is trying to force on the people, then you guys should all be ashamed of yourself. I am asking, I'm not asking, I am demanding. See, a sovereign does not motion the court. A sovereign demands. I am demanding that this case be dismissed with prejudice because I'm going down for the count. I'll take whatever punishment you give me. And I think my 13 days in jail without signing anything, just for comfort, should give you an idea of the fact that I don't